Chase, and this is Ethan, and we are coming at you live for the very first time from Twitch. Feels good, man.
It's the first time for everything, and I'm glad we're making this leap. I think it's going to be very fruitful. Excited, man.
Hell yeah. Ethan is you're new to the Twitch world, man. I've been here for a little bit, doing some
Yeah,
other things, but it's cool because it's a more like open forum. That way people can come in and chat with us about wrestling. They can probably talk shit about our opinions. That'll be fun, dude. And then kids can come in and ask us why we're not playing Fortnite instead. So
yeah. Wait a minute. Why aren't we playing Fortnite?
it has zero wrestlers in it. Yeah. I actually thought about it. I was like, that'll give us a fan base, but we can't tie it to wrestling whatsoever. There's not even wrestling skin yet. Get on that shit, Fortnite.
Yeah, they got NFL skins. Come on, come on.
Man. But we are starting a new format this week called the Smark Weekly. This is what we were calling our weekly show about just AEW before. But since we're only able to do this on a different time slot, we kind of figured we'd change it up a little bit. Just talk about the good and the bad of wrestling each week. So this week we are talking about the 4th through the 10th of November, which includes the Full Gear pay-per-view. But we're just going to start it off with a little bit of Raw. Um,
Oh, let's get raw.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much more Raw than this as far as really fucking my hopes and expectations of this show. So, we're not going to run down the card or anything. Raw, of course, was in the UK. I mean, there's no. If we're just talking about good and bad, there's no reason to run down every single card. We would be here for the
No.
next 5 hours.
Yeah.
But they started off from the UK. I'll be totally honest. This show had some good, and it had things that I wish were good, but it ended up being bad. Maybe it's because I'm too cynical. Maybe it's because I sort of let the wrestling Twitter into my head a little bit. But there are some things that I wanted to like and just absolutely did not. I will say right off the bat, the thing I absolutely loved the most about this was Cedric Alexander versus Buddy Murphy. I feel like the 205 Live guys are some of the best talent on the freaking roster. I wish that they would be given better opportunities because it's like, hey, we took you off of 205 Live because you guys are great. You're going to do great things. And now it's just sort of like they're doing their own like mini 205 Live again. Uh, I don't know, man. And then when they're not doing 205 Live stuff, they're just getting their own asses kicked, like by AJ Styles. AJ Styles has become this guy who is feuding with these 205 Live dudes and just
Yeah.
stomping the shit out of them. He beat the hell out of Cedric Alexander for a month. Now he's going to beat the hell out of Humberto Carrillo for a month. Buddy Murphy's probably next, dude. But
Yeah. So I I feel like I know what's going on and how they could fix most of their issues. I like that this is going to be very insightful. So they got to bring the purple ropes back, dude. Like when they had the purple
no.
ropes and turnbuckles, there was just something about it. When everything in the arena went purple, I knew it was going to just be a quality match. I saw them drag out, Sin Cara's little trampoline in front of the ring. No, but in all honesty, you're exactly right. I don't really think they know what to do. They kind of booked themselves into a corner over the period of how long has it been? 3 years. Um, because you had this separation, this division between the cruiserweights and the main roster, and now you're like, now you can't really. They don't feel like anything other than 205 Live guys, and
Yeah.
they're kind of jobbing out. Um, and it's weird because it feels like even if you're going to have somebody job, like maybe you should allow some new faces to do that so that at least they're kind of getting that TV time, which I guess Humberto Carrillo has been a really great example of that because I don't, it was kind of just Cedric Alexander, Buddy Murphy. There were just a couple of them. So I do like from the perspective that they're trying to mix in a few different, pieces of the roster, but I don't know, man. It just kind of is what it is for me.
It just feels like another example of WWE being unable to build actual stars. Instead, they're just gonna they were using these guys as cannon fodder for bigger dudes. Like Humberto Carrillo started off strong, going against Seth Rollins and like having an actual match against him, not just getting squashed. And it was like, oh, cool, maybe this guy will be something. And now
Yep.
it's just like, no, he's exactly what we thought he was. He's not good.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. He's a great wrestler. Just
Yeah.
they're
Like,
not letting him do anything.
no, exactly. And I mean, so I don't, and this is just my opinion, but I really don't see why you can't have somebody like a Buddy Murphy or a Cedric Alexander, um, or some of these other guys on the roster. I don't see why you can't put them into the like the Intercontinental title picture, the U.S. title picture. Um, Cedric Alexander, he didn't have the U.S. title, did he? Or did he? Okay. I couldn't remember. I know
No, he
somebody.
challenged for it like 3 times and just kept
Okay.
getting his ass kicked.
Okay. Yeah. And even that, I mean, if you kind of hair in my mouth. If you if you go back a little bit, think about when Ali first got like the fans were super receptive to him and he first got that initial push. And then think about kind of where that how that's petered out. Like I I feel like they don't want to stick to anything, Like
No,
they eventually they fall back to the Vince McMahon, I need you to be tall and strong and muscular
yeah, they
things,
want you to get over overnight. Otherwise, it's not worth the effort. They're just gonna keep paying these other dudes to come back, like Brock Lesnar or The Rock or The Undertaker.
Yeah.
They're so incapable of creating new stars. They're willing to shell out all this extra money just to bump these ratings whenever somebody says, "Hey, we need that rating to go up a little bit." Uh,
Dude, I think you and I talked about this, I believe. Yeah, it had to be you and I. Think about the last star they've had. It's got to be who did we settle on? Cena, I guess. And
John
and we're
Cena.
talking there's a difference. We're talking I'm walking up to somebody on the street and I'm asking you about WWE. And I know this argument has been made before. This isn't a new argument. This isn't an original idea, but it's true. If you walk up to somebody on the street, they're gonna mention John Cena, maybe CM Punk, Randy Orton, maybe something like that. You've got these people like Rollins and Styles, and if you want to throw Roman Reigns in there, things like that. But it's not the same. It's not the same. They're not getting over that. They're not getting over to that next level.
Yeah,
You know,
and
and and I don't know. I don't know if anybody. Man, that's a tough area to get back to.
honestly, I think you made a good point. I think CM Punk would be their last, but CM Punk is much like Daniel Bryan. He got over in spite of them, not because of them.
Yeah.
So actually, I guess we would go back to John Cena for that answer. But it is what it is. It can't be changed. That's old Vinnie Mac, and it's always going to be that way as long as he's in charge.
Yeah.
Um, the only other thing I enjoyed about Raw this week, and I really enjoyed this. This was a highlight not only of Raw but of the week, and I think this is a common theme this week is just really badass promos. Um, but there was a promo where Charlie Caruso was interviewing Becky Lynch, and Shayna
Mhm.
Baszler came in and talked about how she's been waiting a long time to meet Becky, and they kind of have this wonderful back and forth. Um, and it's like, yes, dude, this is more intriguing to me than Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch ever was, and the reason is because I'm a wrestling fan.
Mhm.
Shayna Baszler can fucking wrestle. I want
Yeah.
to watch her wrestle with Becky Lynch. I don't want to see Becky Lynch and Charlotte both have to be there to fucking carry this celebrity. I've said a million times they should have put Ronda Rousey in NXT first to build her up, even if it was only for like 2 months. 2 months would have done her a world of good before she went out and just did all the shit they let her do on the main roster. Um, but now we have that opportunity. We have it with Shayna Baszler, who's also a legit MMA fighter. But she has started off as this like she started off as like a piece of coal, and they have worked her into a diamond. And she is literally like my favorite female wrestler on WWE's entire roster. Um, and she's consistently proving why now with this invasion angle. I think she may honestly be the person who comes out the strongest on NXT from this angle. Um,
I could definitely see that.
Dude, it's just everything she says feels so deliberate. When she says she's gonna kick your ass, like you believe it. She has so much viability and credibility as a wrestler. Um, Everything she does feels like gold. She does have some bad matches, but even in the bad matches, she looks good coming out of it. Um, I don't know, man. I don't have enough good like. There's too many good things to say about Shayna Baszler, and for her to like have this face to face with Becky Lynch, who has proven this year specifically that she is excellent on the mic. Man, I was like jaw dropped, just staring, could not look away. I can't wait for them to fight. It's gonna be awesome. Oh man. But honestly, dude, the rest of this card, um, big old pile of dog shit here. Which is another thing we'll talk about later. Dog shit specifically, because WWE loves their toilet humor. Good old Vince. Yeah, dude, I just scrolled through again just to be sure to see like if there was anything I missed. Just looked through the card again. Um, so I guess we'll talk about the not so good about Raw. First of all, another goddamn Rusev Cuck angle. Um, I would rather be fucking killed than watch this shit. I would rather drink bleach under my own sink and then just fucking wait for death to take me. I would rather get a spoon out of my silverware drawer and use it to pry both of my goddamn eyeballs out with no anesthetic, no painkiller. I would rather get stink faced by a bare ass Rikishi than
That's
fucking
a good one.
watch a Rusev Cuck angle. I'm so
Uh,
over this shit, and the only reason they keep doing it is because it's so shockingly stupid that it's drawing their highest views on their YouTube channel. It's the only reason they keep pulling this shit off. And
so I'm glad you say that because I feel like I can definitely play devil's advocate and say, you know, the Rusev stuff, you know, in my opinion has been some of the most captivating stuff of the year. It's just incredibly well written, well thought out. I can't get enough of it. And
are you fucking with me? I just can't. I mean, if you like it,
if I
cool, but I can't tell because the way you're saying it, dude. I feel like
if I was serious, would you just like slowly just start? Would you just close out?
just disconnect your camera and then it'd be a one
Just
person podcast. Just
yeah. Be like, so that was Ethan.
yeah. So that was a tryout. That didn't work out clearly.
No. So yeah, I don't have anything good to say about it because here's the thing: I didn't like Bobby Lashley coming into this angle. So I was like, "Oh yay, Bobby Lashley's back!" And then just the utter awfulness of this whole thing. And I did see one good thing has come out of it, and it's been the memes of like Lana with Ziggler, and like she was with someone else, and then with Lashley, and it's like Vince at the top. And it's like, hey, you want to see me? Watch how I can fuck up this guy's marriage. So yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean,
I
he did it with Matt Hardy and Lita. He did it with Sable and Mark Marrow.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he doesn't give shit. It's literally all about money, and it's probably a little funny to him also because he's a goddamn boomer. Um, Fuck Vince McMahon. Ah, man. But yeah, dude, so the fucking cucking angle. Oh, here's one we can talk about. Natalia's fucking push. Because she was one of two wrestlers who were chosen to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. She has gotten so much publicity and press
Yeah.
off of this, which is awesome. Great. I think Natalia is a great wrestler. I think she has lacked a mouthpiece for a long time. Um, But that time is past. That's that's like saying other mid card wrestlers could have been champion. They probably could have, but the time is over. Very few people get an opportunity like what Kofi Kingston got, where you sort of have this rebirth and you get another chance. Because let's be real, before the Gauntlet match, Kofi Kingston was not even considered World Championship material, even though he could have been earlier. It's been too long. He's gotten older. He's fallen into a groove. It's
Yeah.
And then the Gauntlet match brought him back up to world title status. That match that Natalya had at Saudi Arabia was no fucking Gauntlet match, dude. Like, it wasn't long. It wasn't terribly good. And it was made goofy by the fact that they had to wear t-shirts over their wrestling gear. It's cool that it happened, but it's not like a star-making performance.
Yeah.
So now she came in, and they did, and I have multiple issues with this. They did Natalya and Charlotte Flair versus the Kabuki Warriors, and it's like, first of all, if you have to make Natalya tap somebody out because you're proud of her like press, why the fuck would it be your World Tag Team Champions? You have Fire and Desire who are constantly getting their asses kicked. You have fucking God, they've been on so long camera. The Iconics. There are plenty of women's tag teams, or just throw together like fucking Dana Brooke and somebody else like they did on SmackDown. There's definitely bring Alicia Fox back with her drunk ass. You can put her in a tag team for one night. Let her tap out to it.
I think she's gone.
Probably.
I think she retired or got fired.
That is the saddest retirement of all time.
Yeah.
But either way,
no, well, but the answer is easy though, because you got it's again, not to beat a dead horse, but you got to look at everything through Vince McMahon glasses, and that's any question that you can, because we do it all the time. I don't. We hate a lot about WWE, but I don't think we necessarily want to. But every time
no.
that you and I discuss something and we try to question it, you realize there's no goddamn point in questioning it because you already know the answer. It's Vince's playground, and what he wants to happen is going to happen. So in this situation, maybe it's a reach, but maybe this is also Vince McMahon going, "Oh, Kabuki Warriors are bad. They're evil foreigners. We give them the loss because America good, USA." You know, Maybe that's me reading into it. I don't know. Maybe that's me, being biased. But how sad is it that that could also be exactly what it is? I
Oh,
just,
I have very little doubt that that's the reason. Xenophobia is one of Vince's favorite tropes. But, like, why your fucking tag team champions? Why your women's tag team champions? Because they're not even going to go for the titles. You're just saying, hey, this thrown together fucking team of a former world champion and also this person who really hasn't been pushed that well ever.
yeah,
All of a sudden they can just beat your tag team champions clean, no
yeah.
cheating. It's infuriating to me.
I saw Brian Alvarez of the Observer. I saw him getting into it about it, talking about it, and that was it's always nice to see that people can recognize just the complete terribleness of the booking with WWE right now. So
I feel like you'd have to be completely blind or oblivious to ignore it at this point. Like,
blind, oblivious,
or just
just
really sucking the dick of the WWE. Which,
yeah,
oh boy, are those people real? Oh boy, are those people real? Man. Goodness. All right, the last thing that I want to talk about on Raw, and this is something that I should have loved, but they fucked it up. And it's so hard to do this. So you have Seth Rollins come out and cut a promo, and so first of all, I was like, oh great, they're gonna try to make Seth Rollins a babyface again, talking about how he works so hard, he fights, he should have won, he's gonna get it back. I don't give a shit about Seth Rollins at this point. Between his fucking Twitter beefs where he likes to flex his wallet and talk about how everywhere else is the minor leagues, even though they're putting on like a fucking echelon of wrestling that WWE hasn't heard of in quite some time. Seth Rollins just isn't cool. And I know that's the phrase right now, but it fits so perfectly. Seth Rollins is not fucking cool. He has fallen so far from grace.
See what he posted today?
Nope.
It was a ad for smoking is bad.
Oh, great job, Seth.
So, and like here's the
What is this, the
thing.
fucking
Like,
90s, dude? Is he doing this during
yeah,
a fucking episode of SmackDown where the main event is Triple H and Stone Cold?
here's the thing is like smoking is bad, and like I mean I get it, whatever. But what awful timing. If that's not a scheduled tweet, Jesus Christ. Like you've already got him as the ultimate just, you know, oh God.
We're gonna have to start hitting Seth Rollins with the okay boomer. Every time he says some dumb shit, just okay boomer. Come on, get the fuck out of here.
It's I feel bad because I don't want to be biased, but it's so goddamn hard. That's like
Fuck him.
I like to on Twitter when there's these big debates between AEW and WWE. I don't do that. I'm not about that. But at the same time, like I'm looking at it like I could see obviously I can see why these arguments exist because there's so much frustration with one brand
Yeah.
and there's so much fear by the other side that their beloved, giant of the industry may finally be at least a little bit, um, you know,
Yeah. And dude, I
yeah,
don't want to have to pick sides. I would love for all wrestling to be great, especially if we're gonna take the time to review it all. But
yeah, you got that right. That's for damn sure.
it hasn't been in a long time. But I don't want to get too sidetracked because believe it or not, the Seth Rollins promo is not what I hate the most about this. So during his promo, the Undisputed Era show up
Okay.
along with Triple H, and I'm thinking, fuck yes. Triple H is like, hey, you should come back to NXT. And Rollins is he's talking about how he wants a shot at the world title. Actually, don't
NXT.
let me get ahead of myself. Yeah, the NXT title. Don't let me get ahead of myself. I think that's actually a little bit later. But basically, the Undisputed Era show up, and they sort of tease like they're going to attack Seth Rollins. And Triple H comes out and he talks about how Adam Cole beat Daniel Bryan. Again, he talks about recruiting Rollins to NXT, and talks about how I've always been able to bring out the best in you, Seth. The best you've ever been was when you were with me. It was because of my doing. And this was a really good part of the promo. But then, of course, you have the OC showing up. And they chase the Undisputed Era off into over the barricade, but then from behind you get Dominic Dijakovic. You've got of course the OC. I believe Damian Priest was out there. I want to say that Keith Lee and
Matt Riddle.
Yes, Riddle. That Riddle was out there as well. And I was like, all right, cool. This is a really good beatdown angle. Here's the part that fucking threw me off. They get fucking chased away by the goddamn Job Squad 2019. Zack Ryder, fucking Zack Ryder's partner, whose name I can never even remember because he's been so just misused. Hawkins, Kurt Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins.
And then R-Truth are the three people who come out, and when they show up, that's when all these NXT badasses decide, Shit, it's time to run for the hills. It's R-Truth and Hawkins and Ryder. There's no way we can take them. And it's like, how fucking insulting.
Yeah.
I understand, like, the Undisputed Era running from the OC. I get that. Not only are these guys great in WWE, not nearly as great as they should be, but they're great. They're fucking like Japanese legends at this point. They've killed it around the world. There's reason to run from those dudes. There's a good chance that the three of them could take out the four of you. But for them to then outnumber these three guys 7 or 8 to 1 or 7 or 8 to 3, and then the 7 or 8 are now afraid of these three jobbers that run down because the OC are down. They're not getting the fuck back up. They've been beaten down. And it's like, what the fuck? You couldn't send anybody else out or send a bunch of people out?
Yeah.
Like, this is Raw. Send the Raw roster out. Get everybody to fucking charge down the ramp. But it just felt so insulting.
They didn't bring out Bo Dallas and Kurt Axel? Because that would have been...
I believe they're actually SmackDown wrestlers now. They actually were on SmackDown this week, which is surprising they made TV at all. But
oh, awesome! So we'll get to that in a second.
There's an equivalent, though. I'm sure there's a B team for Raw that could have come out with them. Just send out multiple teams. Send out the goddamn Ascension and the Colognes. They haven't been on TV since WrestleMania or before. But man, I think this was the worst part of the night for me. And again, I know that's nitpicky. I think maybe I'm just skeptical, but I gotta be honest, dude. I am being overly critical of everything they do with this NXT invasion because they've already made NXT feel so unimportant with the fact that they're on USA now instead of the network. It's not like this special wrestling club anymore that we used to be able to go to on Wednesday nights. Or now it's, hey, it's just another show. We do everything we can to just make it another Raw or another wrestling show for WWE. But I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Worst part of the night. But yeah, man. You got anything to add either way? Like good, bad, in the middle, fucking delete this forever?
It's just more of the same. I'm waiting. I don't want to say that. Everybody knows what I'm waiting for. I'm just waiting for
You're waiting for a yes in our Discord channel?
Yeah, definitely that. I'm waiting for just consistently good booking. Or consistent booking. It's not even just some consistency. Just treat me like I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm already a 30-year-old man watching uh, you know, watching people wrestle each other, treat me like due to the fact that I'm taking the time to watch your TV show, give me a little goddamn credit, please, and have a little continuity week to week, and you know, some division and separation with the tiers, and not just random shit happening, like you said, with people chasing people off when they haven't been on TV or haven't been relevant in years. I don't get it, man. We'll see. And here's the thing: it has to get better. I think. And I've said that before.
The problem is we keep saying like, well, it can't get worse, and then it fucking gets worse.
So that's the last. that's the last point that I want to make on it. Is you're exactly right. Is that was what I said to you the other day at work? Is that I had this for a long time. I had that feeling like, well, it can't get any worse, and it's getting progressively worse. And here's the good news: doing this show with us will it's going to give me a reason to get back into it and watch it, and so that I can at least analyze it. And I think honestly, I think that's why they'll never say it, but I think that's why a lot of like Sean Ross Sapp, the different they have to watch WWE. So they've never But anyways, I guess the point I'm making is we talked a lot about the fact that it has to get better at some point, and as of right now, it has not been getting better. So when does it change? The good news is I do think we'll see that. I don't know what the catalyst will be behind that, but I think at some point we'll see it become a show that's actually watchable. And at that point, I'll be excited again because if AEW is still around at that point, that's going to be a lot of good ass wrestling to watch on TV.
Yeah, dude.
But right now, it just ain't doing it, man.
Yeah. Um, I agree. I agree. And there are a lot of really good points that are brought up that we'll talk about at the end of what we have to say about Full Gear, because there was a lot of good information brought out during the media scrum and a lot of good points made in the short time that they've been doing this, what they've been able to accomplish. But want to move on. We're gonna go straight through the week. So next up, we got NWA Power. I know you said you weren't able to watch this. I'm just gonna go through this real quick because it's a short show. Normally, I would say there's a lot more bad than good. One of the downsides to NWA Power is I feel like they do a lot of squash matches with jobbers just to get their initial people over. And I actually put this 2 matches in as a note, like there's too many or too many jobber matches on Power, but they actually like stacked this deck toward the end of the night. So it did start off slow. You get a squash match with the Dawsons. Of course, they fucking win. They're the Dawsons. They talk about how they won a title shot afterward. Really good promo work between the Dawsons and Outlaw Inc., which is Eddie Kingston and Homicide. Outlaw Inc. says, hey, you fight us next week, we'll put up the #1 contendership. All right, cool. I was like, I'm looking forward to that. I'm glad to finally see the Dawsons wrestling in a legitimate match. They did once before against Outlaw Inc., but they cheated to win. It wasn't a very long match. So I was like, all right, I'm ready for that. Another interview with Tim Storm hinting that he's going to retire. Nick Aldis talking him out of it. I'm going to put this in the negative column. The only reason I bring it up as a negative or positive is because it's like every fucking week now, dude. Either fucking retire or don't. I don't know what they're building at here, but it just sort of makes Tim Storm feel like a fucking crybaby. Like, legit okay boomer. Like,
I mean,
Jesus.
doesn't he have classes to get back to, right? He's a teacher.
Yeah.
He may need to.
But it's a real shit or get off the pot scenario. Like, dude, either you are or you aren't. But at this point, I'm
Yeah,
tired of fucking hearing about it.
I feel you.
Next up, we got another squash match. Thunder Rosa's debut, which she's a legit MMA star. I didn't know that. She just had her first actual MMA match. She lost, but apparently she put up a good fight against the other person. So that's cool. Squash the shit out of this girl. Afterward, we get interviews where Marty Bell ultimately ends up turning on champion Allison Kay. I think that's going to be one of our matches for Into the Fire. Still unannounced, still nothing announced for Into the Fire, which is another source of frustration from NWA Power. But after this, the show gets really fucking good. At this point, I was sort of tuned out. I was like, all right, this is just going to be another, they're going to keep introducing people. But instead, what we get is a rematch between Ricky Starks and Aaron Stevens, 2 out of 3 falls. The funny thing is this was a squash match. But it wasn't in the way that I was expecting. Aaron Stevens is this like well-known wrestler. He did a lot of great things at WWE despite them not wanting him to. He did some great things in TNA Impact. But he came out, first of all, he's wearing flesh-colored tights, looked like he was naked. I had to like shrink the screen down because I was watching at work and I was like, people are going to think I'm watching a naked guy wrestle and I'm probably going to get in trouble. But the first pinfall, Ricky Starks gets in 3 seconds. Literally, the first 3 seconds of the match, the ref counts to 3. So that's the first pinfall done. Aaron Stevens, in disbelief, comes back in. They do wrestle around a little bit, but ultimately, Ricky Starks gets the second pinfall as well, winning the match. This is the only time I've ever seen a 2 out of 3 falls, somebody get 2 straight falls. I thought that was really cool. It also makes Ricky Starks look really good. Makes Aaron Stevens look like a joke, but that's kind of his character. He's this heel who doesn't actually need to wrestle. He's just going to talk shit and get heel heat from the things that he says. not the things that he does. So I was cool with that. Then we get the main event. We get a really good match between Colt Cabana and James Storm. Surprisingly, Colt Cabana actually won. So Colt Cabana is the national champion again. This is a title he claims he never lost because he was forced to wrestle with a leg injury, a legitimate leg injury. If I remember right. But he won the title back. There was some strange back and forth afterward. At the end of the match, Eli Drake and Ken Anderson, who were in each corner, sort of got into it, and Camille, of all people, came out to break it up. Curious to see if that leads to anything, because, as you know, Camille is with Nick Aldis all the time, so coming out on her own, it's like, is she gonna... One, I kind of hope that she wrestles one of these dudes. Or two, I kind of hope that this leads to Aldis getting his next match, because I never not want to see that guy wrestle.
Yeah, you're right about that.
But the real surprise here for NWA Power. So I mentioned a few minutes ago that the Dawsons came out at the start. They accepted the number one contendership, and they said it was going to be next week. The Dawsons come out at the end of the show. You think the time is up. And they say, hey, we're not waiting until next week. We want to do this shit right now. And they put on a banger of a tag team match against Outlaw Inc. Outlaw Inc. does end up winning. With during the match, there's a little bit of interference by Rock and Roll Express. These dudes are fucking everywhere. They were on fucking Full Gear, dude. They're on... It's insane. I'm stoked for them. They're probably one of the few, like... or they're probably the only two, I would say, like, older wrestlers that I don't mind seeing on TV on a regular basis, because they can still go. They can still wrestle at a decent rate. They're not out here winning titles just because their name still holds some kind of value. They're just putting on legitimately good wrestling matches and surprising people still. I love it. But yeah, dude, again, a great fucking show. And I really like the surprise main event. I even put a note in here. It just goes to show, with proper booking and storytelling, you don't have to lay out the entire card for viewers beforehand. Nobody knew that match was coming, and everybody wanted it anyway. And I think that's super important. But yeah, man. Next up, we got AEW Dark. We're only going to do episode 5 for this review, just because if we do both, then we're down episode 6 for next week when it should have been. But episode 5, honestly, biggest positive, and I know you feel the same way, MJF on commentary, dude. God damn. Everything he said. And it wasn't just like MJF talking shit about people. It was him talking shit about people and then also putting them over so hard.
Yeah, dude. That was my main takeaway, is he was putting everybody over. He put over Mercedes Martinez, which was fucking awesome. Like,
yeah, dude.
He was like,
strong she was.
Yeah, he was like, there's only like 4 people legitimately, that I think are badasses, and she may be one of them. Something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I thought he did an excellent job, man. I don't think there's anything he can't do.
I agree, man. If anything ever were to happen, God forbid, if he were to ever have any sort of like injury, where he could no longer wrestle, I would love for him to take a spot on the announce team. Like, it was like he had always done this.
Yep.
It was insane. He knows the wrestling moves. Dude, he even put over Sean Spears. He said, look, I hate this guy, but you can't deny what he's doing is good. He's talking about how Sean Spears was using his strength against Nakazawa, who's a smaller opponent. He also put over Nakazawa, talking about, this man likes to appear like he's a joke, but in reality, he's a really talented wrestler. And he's doing it as sort of like a mind games kind of thing. I thought that was great. You mentioned he put over Mercedes Martinez. He also put over Big Swole. He said she can deadlift 400 pounds. And he's like, I don't know a lot of people who can do that. Great stuff. At one point, dude, and he really put over the women in this show. But at one point, Sadie Gibbs does like a flip over the top rope to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And his reaction is so genuine. Like, it's the
Yeah.
most amazing thing he's ever seen.
Yep.
That even though he doesn't like her, he's just like, that was incredible. Like, that is the coolest thing. And he doesn't have to say it. It's in his voice when he's talking about other things.
Yeah.
Dude, that was the highlight of the night for me.
One of
Um,
the one of the interesting takeaways for me was so I had seen a tweet going in where he said like you're gonna hear get get me raw and unfiltered or whatever, raw and uncut. And Cody had said, he's like mostly uncut.
yeah.
Did you notice where they cut out a huge like chunk of what he said?
Uh-uh.
So the reason that I first saw it was because Botchamania tweeted and was like, I don't know what happened between this moment with the audio, but it was fucking weird. And so I had seen that before I watched the show. Well, watching the show, it was during the part. So Allie is running from corner to corner. She's dropping the elbow. If you
Hmm.
listen to the commentary, MJF had started to talk about people that are vegan. When he starts it, it cuts out. They don't say anything. The crowd is like is muted almost. It comes back and all you hear is Excalibur saying, "Sir, you're completely incorrigible," or something like that. So they took out a whole chunk of what he said. So it really made me wonder what exactly he said. I'm sure what they
He
did
had to
was
start swearing, right?
well, it could have been that, but it could have also been just a better safe than sorry approach that they may have been
True.
taking
Yeah.
because,
The whole inclusive thing, like,
yeah,
probably
like you
don't shit on
it,
vegans.
and not only that, but I think somebody online was talking about there's a direct correlation for veganism and a religious component of it,
Oh.
and that he may have or something, or he may have worked, Judaism or something into it. I don't know. Um, so
Let's hope
that
not.
well, I
That
mean,
that's pushing the envelope a little bit if that was the case.
I mean, is MJF is Jewish, so I figured that was where I went with it. As I don't know, but
Man,
dude, obviously they sniffed it, and that makes me just super like
just
interested
insanely
to see
curious.
what I'm like release the uncut thing now.
Yeah, just give us, even if it's just a sound clip attached to a tweet, like, let us hear
If
it.
there's one person that I never need to be censored or filtered, it's MJF, man.
Yeah.
I'm for it. Whatever he wants to say, let him say it.
So now, if we ever do a meet and greet with MJF, I'm gonna ask him, be like, "Hey, what did they cut out of your commentary on AEW Dark?" Um,
Yeah, and he's gonna be like, "Get out of here, you fucking mark. I don't care."
that's fine, dude. He can say whatever he wants to me. I'll have the biggest smile on my face while he's doing it. Fine, totally fine. Um,
Can we just let's fuck this podcast, dude? Let's just make an MJF podcast.
I mean, we'd still have content.
Exactly, dude.
That's the great part about it. We would still have plenty of content. Um, the the last good thing that I want to go over here before we go into the not so good of the show, um, I want to the match that Joey Janela and Jimmy Havoc had against uh, Jungle Boy. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
say Jurassic Express, but the match they had against Jungle Boy, I thought was really good. There was a lot of really good moments. Um, I think that all three of those guys are going to be uh, really big. Janela has an asterisk next to his name when I say that, because, of course, he's got to continue cutting back on the drinking, making sure that he's getting his shit together, because Janela has he has promise. He has the ability to be a world title holder in this company. He also has the ability to be the first person fired from this company. Um, and it all depends on what direction he decides to go. Um, but damn, they are killing it. As far as the negatives I have for the show, the undesirable to undeniable segment with Jimmy Havoc felt awkward. I know they mentioned at one point like they had to change venues because they got kicked out of the arena while they were recording.
They had
So
to they had to move to the
to like the concourse.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think maybe that made it feel weird, but something about it was just off. Normally, these are like really cool promos that they're doing with these up and coming wrestlers. Even when the wrestlers aren't like really anything impressive, because the one they did last time was with the dude who looks like a really young Arn Anderson, but still has the same haircut as now Arn Anderson. Um, I can't remember
Oh
his
yeah.
name, but he had a dark match last week as well. Um,
Shit, what is his name? There's a Q in there.
yeah, Quinn,
I feel bad
like
now.
JD Quinn or something, um, something like that. But it it was a really cool interview, even if he's not like a super promising wrestler.
Q
Um,
Q QT Marshall.
QT Marshall, we were way off, but that's fine. QT Marshall, yeah, that's what we said the first time. Uh, it it just felt weird. So I don't know if it's a hate, just like a I hope this continue like gets better again.
Well,
Um,
here's the thing for me. It felt, and there's kind of a little segue, and I don't want to take up too much time talking about it. Um, but so for me, it felt weird because Havoc was like, he didn't seem like he really wanted to talk, which is probably half his gimmick, half his real life. But he mentioned that, he's like, we don't have to go into it, but didn't have a good upbringing. My father left, always felt worthless. And I was just like, that's I don't know, it just felt kind of icky. And then yeah, to me, so it just felt like maybe I don't know, maybe leave that out. Maybe don't do that with Jimmy Havoc. And then what's funny is by the time now you have Jimmy Havoc with the whole um altercation with Excalibur outside of you saw that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I did.
now
Actually, they asked Tony about it during
ex-
the media scrum,
yeah,
and Tony was
he was like,
like,
it's all
"It
good.
wasn't really a fight." He said it was more like if anything, it was like it was a slight scuffle, and then there was he said if it were like an AEW match, it would have been a draw. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, not a great start, especially with the show being as new as it is. I definitely think they would sooner get rid of Jimmy Havoc than they would Excalibur. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Agreed.
one thing I will say I really liked is at the very end, and he only spent like 15 seconds on this, and I was like, fucking why? But he talks about how he has a degree in film and he loves horror, so that's why he started recording all of his own like horror style promos and doing these photo shoots, and this is what got him
Yeah.
big. These are the things you should talk about. It's called undesirable to undeniable. Those are the things that made you undeniable. Focus on that shit. But we
Hmm.
got like none of that. Again, like 15 seconds, and then they were like, okay, well, see you later.
Yeah.
It felt like a waste of time. Um,
Yep.
but absolutely 100%. The only thing I hated about this show, Marco motherfucking Stunt. Get the fuck off of AEW TV, please God. Or just be a manager. I didn't hate him when he was managing Jurassic Express. I understand why he is now tagging with Jungle Boy. But I don't know if you knew this. Now that Marco Stunt is in Jurassic Express with him, they are fucking 0 and 6. Jungle Boy's record is 0 and 6, and I
I
do not
did.
want that to continue.
I did see that. I saw his record was 0-6. That's not great. That's the worst in all of AEW, right?
The absolute worst.
Um, I don't know, man. I mean, I know we had big things to say about the Marco Stunt Lucha Brothers match. I thought that was a really, really good match, and I know that we were kind of in on team Stunt as far as defending him there, but I uh, I don't really. uh, It's tough to have much longevity with his situation. And uh, I would definitely like to see him more in a manager role.
Definitely.
But
Um,
yeah,
Literally, his only reason to be in this tag team is to fucking get his ass kicked and take the pinfall. We saw it
yeah,
again here. He's the one who got his ass kicked and took the pinfall.
yeah,
And it's been that way every fucking time. And it's like, if that's all he is, why even have him here? 'Cause this isn't supposed to be like, he's the only person that feels like a jobber in this whole company. Well, him and
Yeah.
Brandon Cutler.
Yeah.
But he gets so much more
Yeah.
time than Brandon Cutler does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, my only complaint about the show. Everything else I thought was awesome. Um, I if I had to pick one other thing, there were a couple of weird like there's a lot of really bad like Hurricane Ranas in this show. Like it felt like everybody who tried to do a Hurricane Rana did a really goofy Hurricane Rana. But that's a nitpicky thing. That's not a big deal
Well,
to me.
that's something that continued into the pay-per-view.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. The pay per view had a lot of really weird matches in general, though. Um, cool. Um, all right, dude. Next up, NXT for the week, man. Um, Overall, pretty solid show. We're not going to go down the whole thing, even though most of it is good. We're just going to talk about the things that were probably the best. Um, Surprisingly enough, dude, and this may blow your mind. Damian Priest had a really fucking good match. I, for the first time in my entire life, watched a fucking match with this dude and was like, wow, this is impressive.
That's good.
I don't know if maybe Ring of Honor just wasn't like the thing for him. Maybe he needs that extra direction that WWE is giving to him. But holy shit, this feels like a whole new character to me. Um, Ethan and I are not fans of his from Ring of Honor, to the point that we talk shit about him. Like the dude literally walked right in front of me at Supercard of Honor in over WrestleMania weekend, and I didn't even like. I didn't like say anything rude to him because I'm not gonna be a dick for no fucking reason. But I didn't go out of my way of like saying hi or fanboying or anything. Be like, oh my god, you're a wrestler. Like he was not that important to me.
Yeah.
Um, so to see this change is awesome. I really like this back and forth that he's having with Pete Dunne, and it's very possible that it could be because it's with Pete Dunne as well. But for the first time ever, I'm excited to see where he goes as a wrestler. So that's definitely one of the call outs that I have. The other one, of course, is Shayna Baszler versus Dakota Kai. Shayna Baszler just has a way of making everybody she defeats looking fucking like look weak. She looks undefeatable. We talked about it during the Raw thing as well, dude. But like at this point, I feel like Shayna Baszler can do no wrong. She doesn't even need her lackeys anymore. Like if they were to just get released tomorrow, that's very unfortunate for them. But it would not hurt Shayna Baszler in the slightest. She's still just this badass that just chokes everybody out.
Yeah. It's true.
So I think those are the two biggest call outs that I have. Um, Man, other than that, the negatives, um, I don't know, man. OC was there. They did like a beatdown angle. It just feels like generic Invasion 101. It's cool that they were there. The opening segment where it shows them like tossing around Undisputed Era backstage was really cool.
Yeah.
Uh, Other than that, man, there wasn't like they showed up and AJ Styles looks like he was wearing clothes that belonged to somebody 2 sizes bigger than him. Um, I don't know, dude. They just didn't look impressive at all. Um,
So for me, the whole invasion angle is sort of lessened by the fact that they do this every November.
yeah,
This has been the first year with NXT, but we've seen this Raw Survivor Series, or excuse me, Raw SmackDown invasion angle for the past like, at least like couple years. And it's not exciting. It's not like, oh, what are these people just showed up out of nowhere. It's what it is okay, today's Raw, so SmackDown will invade. Okay, cool. So SmackDown is tonight. All right, so Raw is going to come back. Now you've just added the extra element of now we've got NXT, so we'll see I don't know, whatever touring city is closest to Orlando right now. Okay, that'll be that roster will attack. It doesn't excite me because again, it's a level of predictability.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel new or fresh to me, and I don't necessarily feel like the NXT association with Survivor Series was really. I don't know that it was 100% necessary. Like, if you would have wanted to give me, like, maybe Undisputed Era versus the OC or something like that, and just kinda made that it, I think I would have been okay with it. But the whole NXT thing feels like it was just added in as sort of a way to get our minds off of what happened with, Crown Jewel, and it was like, I mean, I know that that's not the case because I know that they had already had the plans in place to have NXT
Well, this I think you're
crossover,
still
but
right. It was still a way of getting people's minds off of Crown Jewel because you got to think last year they did the Evolution pay per view
yeah,
to make up for Crown Jewel, and now it's just, hey, Crown Jewel. I know you didn't like that, but NXT's on TV all the time now. You guys love NXT, right?
yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, I know that the plans are already in motion, from everything that I've read, but the fact that the people getting stuck in Saudi Arabia allowed them to have NXT have that first invasion show,
Mm-hmm.
on SmackDown, which was literally because they had to have bodies there, and that's why NXT was even there in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know, that kinda kicked it off in a weird way for me because it was just it all feels forced, and that's just my personal opinion.
Very
Um,
forced, very much
yeah,
so. And not only that, dude, but it feels they're forcing it on both sides because, at least as far as NXT goes, now there's this weird element of, hey, we're all fighting each other, but we're also all working together because Takeover War Games is literally the night before Survivor Series. So they're gonna go in,
yeah,
beat the shit out of each other, and then they still have to like try and
yeah,
wrestle these matches the next night. Like
I don't like that at all. I don't like it's like they're pulling double duty, I mean, for sure,
it's
and,
too much. That is the one thing I will use to describe NXT as a whole since coming to USA is it's too much. Um, they have tried to overbook the shit out of every single episode.
yeah,
Um, they are trying to make these takeover level um, shows, which is cool in theory, but we don't want all that. We want a legitimate build to a single match um,
yep,
for a wrestler. Give us a lasting feud, and we don't want to see it 7 times before we see it on pay per view. I'm afraid that's what we're gonna get with Damian Priest versus Pete Dunne. We're gonna get the goddamn 19th rubber match on that at the takeover, and they're gonna act like it's this incredible thing. When in reality, by that point, people are gonna be fucking bored of it. Um,
yep.
I don't know, man. I've WWE, right? That's
What
that's
can you
what they
do?
do. Um, cool. Speaking of WWE, next up we have SmackDown. Dude, I just want to get this off of our chest immediately. So we're just it started the show, so we're just gonna start the SmackDown part of this with it.
Do we have to?
Yeah, dude, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
This show starts off. Um, they did not take any sort of notes from the opener for last week, where we started off with Adam Cole, and we got a lot of really cool shit. This week they're going to start off with the exact opposite of that, the anti-Adam Cole, Baron Corbin. King Corbin comes out to the ring and he cuts a terrible fucking promo. You can tell this shit was straight up written down for him, and he's
yep,
just doing what he's told. He's
yep.
very good at doing what he's told, and he's very much a company guy, which can be a
Which
good
he
thing.
which he didn't. He
Not in this case.
he he hasn't in the past. He hasn't been. That's why. Again, everything that we talk about is probably rumor and hearsay and based. Let's face it, mostly on fucking what Dave Meltzer says. But if we're to believe all that, then he was not in good standings with the company, which basically halted his push, forced him to lose the Money in the Bank briefcase,
Yeah.
because of the fact that he kind of got into it with a doctor about one of their concussion specialists saying, hey, I've been in the NFL and what you're saying is not true, or there was something that happened and
So
all
so it
a
was that, but
backstage.
also that was the first time they found out that he was part of a class action lawsuit for concussions.
Yeah, so that
Uh,
doesn't help either. So it seems to me that like after that, he was like, you know what? I need to get back in the good graces of the company. And since then, he's basically done anything and everything they asked him to.
which is not good stuff.
Rocking the rocking the vest of the TGI Fridays, like
Yeah,
just
man.
so. But yeah, but proceed with the excellence that this was.
So he comes out. He's got a bunch of really generic lines for Roman Reigns. Talks about how he calls himself the big dog, but he bets that he has some really small testicles. And then,
Testicles.
as though that could not get any worse, he tops off the promo with a remark about how he's going to bring out some doggy poop bags for the crowd so they can
Yep.
take home a souvenir from Roman Reigns.
Scrape up his excrement.
Jesus fucking Christ. How fucking, and this has Vince McMahon written all over it. This
So
is
was this
this is
was this
Dean Ambrose talking about the pooper scooper all over again.
yeah.
Vince McMahon, for some reason, thinks pissing on yourself. I was gonna say urination, but it's not just urination. You have to pee on yourself. Pissing yourself is fucking hilarious, and I guess talking about shit is
And
right up there
farts.
with it. That's top tier
Yeah.
good shit.
Yeah. I would you say was this one of the top 5 best promos on SmackDown or uh,
Uh, I think this goes right along with me preferring to take a bare ass stink face from Rikishi. Um,
better or worse than Suffer and Succotash?
um, they might wrestle to a time limit draw. Uh, God damn, dude. I was at work watching this, and I was just like, I need glass. I need glass to just bash my fucking head through right now.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is where I actually tapped out on the show.
It's the
I
start of
didn't.
the show, dude.
Yeah. So this will be
Oh my
this will
god.
definitely yeah yeah.
Um, not a whole lot of good on the show, honestly. We're just gonna talk about the bad because there's a lot of fucking bad here. You have been promoting a tag team match, a triple threat with all the champions across the board. Viking Raiders for Raw, Undisputed Era for NXT, The Revival for SmackDown. Then, this fucking show, you have a match, The New Day versus The Revival. That's fine. That's a good match. But then you have The New Day fucking win. I love the New Day. I'm glad they're champions. You can't hold this off for fucking 2 more weeks until after Survivor Series is done. You've heavily promoted this match. And now the match is fucking changed. Short notice.
Yep.
There has to be something more to this. If we find out that one of the Revival is injured, I'll take back all this negative shit I said. They did what they had to do. But if they did it just for the sake of fucking doing it, this is some Vince McMahon bullshit. Like, this is fucking stupid. I don't get it.
Is there any chance that the Revival is going to
AEW?
AEW?
No,
I
they
don't.
just signed new contracts, dude. That's how they
Did
started
they?
getting their title runs in the first place.
I
Yeah,
don't
hold
think.
on a second.
Yeah, check it. I think they're the only one that didn't. I think they got the title reign with hopes that would push them to re-sign, but as of like earlier this year, they still hadn't signed. Maybe
Um,
that's what it. Maybe it's leverage.
so
Maybe it's
September 27th, about a little more than a month ago, was the last time there was an update on it. Um,
fact checking.
Complications due to a jaw injury. His contract with WWE runs out 10 weeks after Scott Dawson's. Um,
Yeah, I want to say they still haven't re-signed. Like because I at one point had thought they did, and remembered reading somewhere that they hadn't.
So there's still a lot of speculation, but that speculation says that they're looking at a send off around WrestleMania 36. 24th of September, the Revival reportedly still hadn't signed new WWE. Or okay, so maybe they haven't. That would be great fucking news, dude. Let them go be hashtag top guys somewhere else, somewhere better.
They've been teasing it for so long, dude. That's
As they should, dude. Look at this shit. It's fucking awful. Um, Next up, dude. The next awful thing on the list. It almost is like we are going down this lineup because all of it is just straight dog shit. We get fucking Shorty G and Ali versus Cesaro and Shinsuke. This fucking storyline where they're trying to convince Daniel Bryan to join up with a bunch of jobbers. I know they're not actually jobbers, but WWE has treated them so poorly. They're borderline. Fucking Cesaro and Shinsuke, like, they're both amazing wrestlers. Both should be world champions multiple times over. Neither of them are. And they're being fucking managed by Sami Zayn because they don't have anything for Sami Zayn to be doing, even though he's also a great fucking wrestler.
Chase, Sami Zayn speaks American. How dare you?
Yeah.
Cesaro and Shinsuke don't talk no good, so Sammy can speak American for him.
God damn it, WWE. You fucking imbecile pieces of shit.
Hey, there is no. This is a bias-free show.
Yeah, is it? Fuck the WWE.
Look at your shirt. Like you sit back. You're like, there is no bias on this.
Man. But dude, the biggest negative for me is the fact that it's a reminder that Shorty G exists. You took Chad Gable on his way up. You gave him this excellent performance in the fucking King of the Ring tournament. And then you made him talk about how fucking small he is, and you changed his name to a white rapper, and then you fucking put him in basketball gear for some reason because short people can't play basketball. Is that the fucking joke, Vince? Is that the goddamn boomer joke?
That's what I looked like in junior high. Like I looked exactly like Shorty G. Just
God damn it, Ethan.
that maybe it would have really resonated with me.
Man, this is never gonna get over despite how good he is, and he is really fucking good.
Yep.
It's so disappointing. The only good thing that I have to say about this show, and I'm not gonna run down the rest of the show because I didn't like any of the rest of it. The only good thing I have to say about the show. Oh, sorry, one more shitty thing. Tyson fucking Fury, get off the show. I don't give a shit about you. I'm so sick of these other athletes coming in and WWE telling the narrative that literally anyone from any other sport is better than their own wrestlers. What kind of fucking narrative is that when you're supposed to be a wrestling company?
Yep.
But the only thing I liked was The Fiend attacking Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend is a great fucking way to go, especially with the title. I just hope that they do it right. If Adam Cole can beat Daniel Bryan clean, I hope The Fiend wipes the fucking floor with him. I want it to be a competitive match, but I want there to be no doubt that The Fiend is going to win. If this is where you start off, let's make it strong, because we've got some damage control to do after the fucking fiasco that was the Seth Rollins feud.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, other than that, there's nothing worth fucking talking about. The other stuff wasn't, like, terrible, it just wasn't good. SmackDown was a real shit show. But yeah, man. So that's it for SmackDown. Now, last but certainly not least, we are on to Full Gear, AEW's first pay-per-view since they started their TV. They had 6 weeks of build up to the TV, so ultimately, 12 hours? What'd you think, man? Let's talk about, do you want to start with highlights or lowlights of the show? Because I feel like this is the most important part.
I'll probably start with lowlights because that's kind of the progression of it for me.
Okay. So what were like the lows of Full Gear for you?
So first and foremost, one thing that I'll say is I'm kind of glad that this this did happen in a way, because if we're gonna do something like this where we're gonna try to speak on everything, this I think this proves that we can analyze and be critical of things that we love. Because yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm a
agree.
huge I'm a huge AEW homer. That's easy. Um, but I this show, a lot of this show really didn't do it for me. I think so. My lowlights were we missed Tony Schiavone badly, very badly.
Yep.
Shivani, more so than we even knew, has been an excellent buffer between Excalibur and Jim Ross. He's kind of there to clean up a lot of what Ross says, help connect a lot of the dots, and help keep the commentary flowing and help it feel natural. Jim Ross and Excalibur are two 100% different styles. Ross is very just he's kind of goes with the flow. Excalibur is very precise and oftentimes uses um, wording for moves that Ross has clearly never heard of.
Yeah, very unfamiliar with.
Very unfamiliar with the terms, almost to this, almost comes across that Excalibur is doing it, for fun, which I know is not the case. But when he says some things, I immediately know, well, Jim Ross doesn't know what the fuck that is, or Jim Ross isn't going to be able to bounce off of that. So that was the main takeaway, I think, that ran throughout the broadcast for me, to the point where, even like I said, Heather was watching with me, and she's like, "This commentary this is bad. Like, this sucks. This is not
Yeah,
what
it
that
was
what
not
that
good, dude.
now what that did for me personally." Coupling that with the audio issues, which I know we can get into in a second, that took me out of a lot of the matches, because of the fact that I was more so focused on the commentary than I was the actual match. And I haven't really had that happen with AEW yet, but I was literally like getting taken out of the moment, because no, that's not what that was called. Nope, that's not even that person. That's a different person, JR. And that, with the fact that these matches were a little bit sloppier than we've seen, and a little bit, I don't know, a little bit spotty in points, which of course that's AEW as a whole. I know that. First, probably, what did I say? 60% of the card, man. I was,
Yeah.
I was bummed. I was bummed.
Um, yeah, dude, I think, and honestly, I think a lot of what you brought up is the reason why the card felt so bad at the start, dude. JR really started to get into his groove toward the end because they were wrestlers he was more familiar with, whether it be from New Japan or from, his time in WWE, obviously. And of course, he wasn't going to fuck up calling a match between Jericho and Cody. There was no way that that was going to go wrong for him.
Yep.
But for all these other guys, he didn't know the difference between Santana and Ortiz. He was messing up the names for. He kept calling Emi Sakura Amy
Yep.
Sakura.
Hmm.
Um, Dude, it was one thing after another, and the whole time I'm just like, come the fuck on.
Yeah.
It was just insanely frustrating, dude. Lots of mixed up names. Um, and as you mentioned, things like when Excalibur is like, oh, he just did a Uranagi, and Jr. is like playing dumb, and he's like, oh, it looks an awful lot like a rock bottom to me. Look, Jr., we're not in the fucking WWE. Like, I get that's where you
Yeah.
came from, but we're not just gonna throw out. He also called the referee Mike Knox,
Yeah. Yeah.
who is who was a WWE wrestler, and he said Mike Knox. I don't know where that came from. Who is Mike Knox?
Yeah, he called a tope suicida a what did he call it?
Suicida del Torpedo, or no, Suicida el Torpedo. I've got it right here.
Yeah,
Um, Jesus Christ. Um,
he came across, so at his best moments he comes across as, it's like, can be jokingly explained, like he'll laugh at it and be like, I'm an old man, blah blah blah.
yeah,
These came across a lot because it was happening so frequently for me, it came across as that he didn't give a shit, that he didn't care to have it right, that
Yeah,
he was
like
just
he
kinda
hasn't done his homework.
exactly, that is what it came across as. That's a lot different than being a out of touch old man that every now and then gets some stuff wrong because they new kids, that's different. When you're constantly messing things up, and not only that, but you're discounting, when Excalibur says something and you're saying, "Oh, back in my day, they called that this," or something like that. You're not adding anything. You're distracting the viewer, you're taking away. There were a lot of these weird back and forth moments where Excalibur had to try to explain something or clarify something. And to me, that took me out of it a lot. So it's unfortunate that it happened. However, one thing that we've seen is that WWE, or excuse me, AEW has been very good at addressing things like this.
Yeah, I
They
don't think
they
they're gonna
they
let this
learn
happen again.
they really learn from their mistakes and they take to heart the feedback that they get. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the case here.
I don't know what they're gonna
Um,
do on nights that Shivani does. Shivani do this commentary for whatever else he was doing every Saturday?
um, that's a good question. I don't know.
Man, because I don't
Uh,
know who they would place him with. Surely it isn't fucking Alex Marvez again.
no, I think
Ah,
you'd have to.
God.
I think you'd have to be Golden Boy. But even so, with that, he leans a little bit too close to Excalibur, probably in terms of their similarities.
You know, honestly,
Um,
I don't know that that's a bad thing though. Like, I would rather have more of that than Jr. being left in the blind. Um, but I don't know. It's definitely something they're gonna have to
so
work on.
here's here's the thought. I don't know, and because they've done this before, if you can find a way to do it and not lessen the importance of what he's done thus far, have if that instance happened again, have Excalibur and Golden Boy call the show up to like that match, like Jericho Cody,
Like the main
then
event matches.
bring Jim Ross out for the main events.
I think
Um,
that
it,
that could be a
it,
really good idea.
if you can do that without seemingly diminishing his role because he has the weekly role, if you can find a way to make that work, just do that. Because to me, Ross absolutely, of course, like you said, he was always going to, but he killed the Jericho Cody match. I mean,
Yeah.
I was he was doing the exact opposite of what he did on the previous matches.
Of everything else, yeah.
He was pulling me into the match. So that was that, and the fact that the crowd was seemingly dead.
Yeah, that was going to be my next talking point as well. In according to Tony Khan, it's just bad mics, and according to people who were there, it's just bad mics because they said the crowd was electric the entire time. But we watched from home, and that was not the case. It
No,
felt so dead, dude. It sucked because some of the matches, like Page versus Pac, I thought was awesome, but I was like, man, this crowd is not feeling it. Unless there was really big chants. Like during the big chants, you could still hear them. There was a lot of dueling chants during Page versus Pac. There was some moments for like this is awesome. There was a "you sick fuck" chant during the Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz. When he like ate Nick's gum.
yeah,
Um, but aside from those big chants, it just felt like the crowd did not care about any of this. And I think that made it harder to watch at home because you do feed on the crowd reaction.
yep.
Um, you do sort of like mentally gauge how well a match is going based on how the crowd reacts. So it is hard to
That's
get into it when there's not all this noise when these big moves are going on.
that's
Um,
why every NXT takeover is just fucking amazing because
yep.
the NXT takeover crowds have only in my experience been rivaled by All In, Double or Nothing, maybe All Out, but those crowds, that's a whole nother level. And the NXT takeover crowd before WrestleMania, oh my god. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah. They're about it. Um, but I don't know, man. Trying to look through any other negatives I got here. Emi Sakura is a big negative for me. My notes are I'm just gonna read the first couple verbatim. Um, how did Emi get in this match? So unimpressed. Second note, Riho is great though. Um, 60-minute time limit for this women's world title match. Like that a lot. Fourth note is once again, Emi's offense is still unimpressive. I feel like this is going to come across as biased, but I have no reason to hate her. She's just not fun to watch. Those are notes. I put those in the notes. Also, her entrance music sucks. It's just trumpets. Cool. And then it's just notes about how good the offense goes. I will say, and we can kind of use this to segue into the good stuff. The second half of the match with Emi Sakura and Riho, I started to see like what Emi Sakura is capable of. She was doing a really good job of being the stronger wrestler, of really putting in some nice offense. The biggest thing that I'll call out as far as like the positives for this match, dude, she put Riho in a surfboard stretch and started rolling around the ring and doing it multiple times. I
Hmm.
had never
That
seen
looks
that before.
dude, it looks so painful.
It looked so good. I was like, this is the shit that they. This is why they say she's a legend. Like this
Hmm.
stuff right here. Why didn't we see more of this earlier on? If I could see her wrestle like that all the time with that sort of seriousness and not just her fucking coming out to music that doesn't make sense because she's supposed to be Freddie Mercury, um, I think I would be a lot more into Emi Sakura than I am. But holy shit, it took this long for me to give even the slightest ounce of care for Emi Sakura. Um, man, I, again, that's a positive. I'm glad that it happened. It just took a long time. Um, another while we're talking about moves specifically, kind of jumping around. Um, the only other like really sweet like move set that I want to call out during the Young Bucks versus Proud and Powerful,
Dude, I know
the
exactly where
double
you're
team
going.
that they did where they put like dude, hold on, I want to see exactly what I wrote this as because I don't think I'm gonna describe it properly even in these notes. So it was double submissions on the Young Bucks.
Yep.
It was a Gory Guerrero special onto Matt, so it was stretching out his back, which Matt notoriously has problems with. Thank God we didn't get a fucking match where it's just Matt's back problems. And then they had a combo Boston Crab and Camel Clutch on Nick underneath. Oh my god, dude. If they just did that every match, I would be so stoked. Like, such
Yeah.
a cool combo. Was not expecting it.
Dude, here's a little side tangent negative. I don't know where else to throw this in, so let's do it. Is okay, Nick hurt his shin. He's done that a few times. That's his Matt's back.
Yeah.
How about the fact that we're going to this fucking show on Wednesday and likely no Cody, no Mox, no Omega, and maybe no Young Bucks.
Man. As far
I
as I know,
mean,
Mox is cleared, right? I haven't heard
I
anything
mean,
about him not being
well,
cleared.
so the thing is, I think there's a tendency to anytime you have a big like brawl where you get cut up and stuff like that, you have they give it a little bit, they give it like that 1 week period to breathe.
Yeah. Man,
Because
dude,
if he,
that'd be a
it,
bummer.
but maybe we'll get somebody on Dark. Who fucking knows? But that's
We'll
that's
see.
my that's my negative.
Yeah,
It's
that's a negative just for us, but it's still very negative. I don't like
yeah,
that. How dare you bring that up?
still gonna be fucking awesome though. I know that.
Yeah, you're right, dude. You're right. It'll be really cool. Can't wait to get my cowboy shit T-shirt. Can't never wear that to work, but that's fine. Um, I guess one more positive as far as moves go, and this is strictly just because I'm a big fucking nerd. If you can't see the video game references behind me, um, Ortiz in this match did the Luigi plank from Smash as an attack. He used it as a headbutt, but he planked and then fell straight forward. Um, that I thought that was really cool. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be a reference to Luigi plank, but the way he fell reminded me 100% of Luigi doing his plank attack in Smash. So I thought that was really awesome. Um, dude, other positives. I gotta be honest, man. really big fan of the Page versus Pac match. Um, it really didn't matter who won to me. That match was going to be great regardless. Both guys deserve the win. I'm just glad it wasn't a draw. Because I felt so strongly about both guys deserving the win, I was worried they were going to do another fucking draw on this. And I didn't want that. Oh, sorry. I have one more negative to throw in here as well. And this is going to be a negative for literally every show that he's on. Sean Spears' entrance is fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense. The lights go out, so you think there's going to be... Because they never, like, time it right. So the lights went out immediately after the Pac and Page match, which is why I remembered this. So you think somebody's going to, like, interfere in this match. You're like, oh, shit, there's about to be some kind of debut. Dude, this was, like... In my mind, I was like, this is Marty Scurll.
Yep.
This is Marty Scurll. And then the music cuts, or the lights cut on, and it's just him sitting there with his stupid goddamn scarf / hood that looks terrible. It never sits right. It always looks like it's like rolled up on itself. But then there's just awkward silence while he sits there. And he slowly gets up, and he closes the chair. But when the chair closes, it's like upbeat music. He should be dancing down to the ring or some shit, dude. This 100% like has...
Like he should be like...
Yeah, it feels like Street Profits music to me. I bring the swag like nobody can.
You know
but
what?
Instead, he's just heel walking to the ring, dude.
I'll tell you exactly what it comes across as. His entrance in the music comes across as, and I think this is where they were going. This is what you see boxers come out to, like legit boxers. This is the kind of, because they come out draped in the the hood.
But even that, dude, they've got a little like pep in their. They're at least like bouncing a little bit. They come out hype. Like he's literally just walking, man.
No, that's exactly, you're exactly right, and that's my point. They've got all of the elements of a boxer entrance with the slow sauntering Sean Spears, where he likes to look around a lot because he's got cool contacts. I don't
Tully
care.
Blanchard gets to the ring faster than Sean Spears does.
And that bothers me too, that Tully just like slowly walks out of the out of the tunnel, and I don't like any of it.
It's terrible. His music does not fit anything.
But you nailed it, because the most disappointing thing about it for me is that every fucking time that he does it, I'm like, oh, who's debuting? Somebody's debut. There's a run in. The lights are going out. The Fiend is here for some fucking reason. I don't know. And then it's like, oh no, it's Sean Spears.
It's just Sean Spears.
Cool.
And I hate that I feel that way because he's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
I'm so over his entrance. I don't want to see it anymore. Stop it.
No,
but the other highlights, dude, Cody versus Jericho. Holy shit. Man, this match was like, it was a roller coaster, dude. I honestly thought we were going to get some kind of interference. They end up throwing Jake Hager out. I thought we were going to get some a little more from MJF. MJF played it cool the entire match up until the end. Jericho putting Cody in the walls or the actual walls of Jericho with the knee, and then him standing up and stomping Cody's fucking head just to put him back in it. Dude, I was actually in my driveway. I couldn't get out of my car because I didn't want to miss a fucking second. So I sat and watched the last 15 minutes in my car on my phone. Yeah. And I'm just like, when he started kicking his head, dude, just staring wide-eyed, like, Jesus fuck, dude. If this is not the end, I don't know what is.
And then he basically contorts him into the lion tamer.
Yeah,
at the end, right?
Yeah, he's basically kneeling on his fucking head.
Yeah, and Excalibur's like, oh god, he's like, oh, it's so bad.
Just putting it over, dude, selling it huge. They sold the blood. Him getting busted open, legit, dude. Have you seen the photo of the stitches? From that?
Yeah,
it looks insane.
That's I know we were talking about that. That was so like. It was weird because, like you said, I think Jericho was supposed to be there. And Kevin Nash tweeted about this today, which I saw that.
Are you talking about where he said he talked to Stone Cold?
Yeah. And they said that. Well, the thing is, they were apparently debating something that was another part of it. Whether or not it was the hard way or whether he bladed, I guess. But
Yeah,
I knew for a fact that they did fucking blade. My thing was that it was almost like Cody realized as he got hooked, he made this super like maybe it was instinct split second last moment of like I'm gonna go ahead and land and make this look, you know, maybe try to get a little bit of juice. And now I don't know that you can even think that quickly, but it was almost like he did not get his hands up. And the reason
yeah,
and I think one of the reasons that I feel and we got this little buddy here. I think one of the reasons that I feel that way is because of the fact that he took the chair shot and didn't get his hands up for that either, purposely,
yeah,
is that he's kind of got that dusty in him where he knows that in those big matches it's not going to hurt to get that that color.
yeah. That color is gonna
Um,
tell a story.
and
Um,
and like I told you, where he hit and where he landed, it worked perfectly from that aspect of where you would want to have the blood.
Definitely.
Um,
I think he did
because it
his
was
best to try and catch himself. But at least from the perspective that I have, it looks like he was supposed to come all the way over the ropes, and then Jericho was supposed to hit him, so he could kind
yeah,
of land on his knees and fall. But Jericho was so close to the ropes, dude. So I think it was a miscalculation on both their parts. He probably should have let Jericho space out a little bit first, and then of course Jericho should have taken that time to take the step back. Um, but they
it
still did a
looked
good job of what they had, and it makes Jericho look that much bigger of a dick.
yeah.
Um, like as a heel, it makes him look like he's that much more dastardly because he did do that. You know, he cut him off immediately. His feet were basically hanging on the ropes, and he just came straight down. Um,
And it looked so bad.
yeah,
Oh, it looked so. I was like, well, his neck's broke. So,
it
and
looked
they,
rough. The whole crowd, dude, was like, "Oh,
yeah, and they, it's and it's one of those things too where we're so used to seeing the blade job where you got the nick
yeah,
open it up a little bit, it starts to go. With Cody's, he stood up and you're like, oh shit, that's a lot of blood.
yeah,
Like
dude."
it was,
Immediately blood.
you could see the gash and you were like, they're gonna have to stop that blood. I thought they were gonna stop the match, honestly.
I was worried about it, and
I was like, no.
they did ask Tony Khan in the post media scrum. They were like, "Was there ever a thought that you would have to stop this match?" He said, "The doctor was out there. He checked it immediately. They were able to slow down the bleeding, and they, decided that there was no reason to stop the match. But it he made it sound like it was a concern for everybody that they were going to have to stop it,
Yeah,
which would have thrown off everything
that
because the ending like literally is the start of a new story. Of course, with MJF throwing in the towel. And MJF did such a good job, dude, of looking so disappointed. What's really nice about this story, and I know I felt differently about it when it first happened because I
yeah,
wanted them to wait a little longer. But
yeah,
what's really nice about this is this the one moment where you did not think MJF was going to turn on him.
yeah,
And they did a great job because they've teased it before. They've literally teased multiple times where MJF had a chair in his hand and had the ability to fuck over Cody, and he did not. And this time, dude, he's literally groveling. He's on the verge of tears. He just wants Cody to forgive him. And when Cody does forgive him is when he strikes, dude, and nobody saw it coming. I don't give a fuck what you say. You did not see. Everybody knew he was going to turn.
yeah. We
This is
didn't know
wrestling
when.
in 2019. We know how the stories are going to end. We
Yeah,
did not see it coming at this point in time.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it coming at all. It worked. It worked for me so utterly and completely because of the fact that they had been teasing it, and because they'd kept MJ. I knew what I felt like was that this was MJF's next thing, because of the fact that he hadn't really. They didn't even try to put him in any programs. They were letting him stand by the wayside. So for me, it felt like we're waiting for when this pops off. And
Yeah,
dude, this feud, oh my fucking god, this feud is gonna be incredible
it's
because
gonna be brutal.
they've been building this friendship. I mean, let's be honest, they are probably best friends now
Oh,
in
dude,
real
I'm
life. In
sure.
real
Yeah,
life,
they're buddies. There's too many
this is
segments
gonna
where
be
he's literally at their house,
yeah.
for this to not be the case.
And working out, they work out together. This dude, this is gonna be so fucking good. How about and I think now they've pretty much think they've confirmed it that he it was a plant in the crowd that threw it.
Through the water, yeah.
But oh god, dude, that even just added to
It
it.
did.
It
And
looked
his look afterward,
so
man.
good.
He just
It
kind of
looked
like grinned a
so
little bit
good.
and kept walking. Dude, he walked out of there. He might as well have been on fire with all the fucking heat that he was getting, dude. Uh,
I am excited that
awesome heel moment.
we get the fallout to that in Nashville.
Yes,
That will
very much
make up
so.
for lack of anybody not being cleared.
There's no way we don't get an MJF match, which is going to be great. I'm really excited for that. Dude, this was definitely the co-highlight. Like, I won't say this was better than Omega Moxley, but fuck if it wasn't right there with it. The match, the aftermath, all of it together, they told such a good story. And it wasn't even the end of the show. Honestly, this was so good, it made me forget there was another match afterward.
Mm-hmm.
I literally, after this match was done, I got in my car, and right before I closed it, they started showing the Omega Moxley stuff, and I was like, oh shit, there's another match. Like, this is still going. This is still very much a thing. And to have, like, such a good moment and be like, hey, this isn't even my final form. Like, if this pay-per-view is not fucking over yet. The pay-per-view completely turned around, man.
Yep.
And then, of course, Omega Moxley, absolutely brutal, dude, to the point that some of these fucking
A lot.
like news sources for wrestling are calling it like disgusting and all this stuff. I simply tweeted out, if you don't like this match, what's it like to hate fun?
Yeah.
Because this was fun to watch. Really fucking great stuff. A lot of like really, I won't call it creative offense, but certainly new to Omega.
Dude, the drop kick over the railing at the start of the
Yeah, right
match
at the start, dude. Holy shit.
that was awesome.
Literally, the first thing that I put in my notes is, oh, I guess they started. Like, because I looked down for a second to check my phone, and then I looked back up, and the drop kick had just happened, and I was like, oh shit, okay, well, we're not even gonna get a real start to this. We're just gonna go at it. I did like JR's call out in this match. Again, by this point, JR had warmed up and he was actually doing what he needed to do. They used a beer as a weapon. One person hit the other person in the head with just a cup of beer, and JR, without skipping a beat, said, "Somebody get that guy another beer." Loved it, dude. Made me laugh. There was the moment where Omega went for the barricade moonsault, but because he turned his back, Mox just pushed him straight the fuck off. That looked a little rough too. Goddamn insane amounts of barbed wire in this match, dude. Barbed wire everything. If they had brought out a barbed wire wrestler, I would not have been surprised. They're just like, oh, here's Brandon Cutler, but he's covered in barbed wire, and they're now swinging him at each other. Yeah, I get it. That's what this match is. Dude, specifically as far as barbed wire goes, Mox standing on the fucking barbed wire bat into Omega's back. Holy shit, dude. When Omega got up and you could see the blood start dripping, there's just like, it was like he put a fucking star pattern all over his back, man. Yeah. It was insane. The match was brutal. The trash can moonsault was kind of a flop, dude. Completely fucking missed Moxley.
Yeah, he did.
Whatever, dude. Still look good. The mousetrap thing, a little gimmicky, but when it actually went off, obviously it doesn't fucking hurt because it's not catching anything. But still, the sound is really, it's a pleasing aesthetic for a hardcore match like this. And it's also one of the few spots that you can do completely safely, as long as you don't accidentally shove your hand in a fucking mousetrap.
I was.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say I'm just going literally down the list of like the notes. The notes I have are just all the crazy hardcore shit they did.
Yeah.
Um, Omega hanging Moxley with the gold chain, dude. And then him like putting his foot on the rope and pulling the chain. The hanging thing I thought always kind of looked hokey, but what he did to make it look a little more real was he actually grabbed both sides of the chain, like he was choking him with it, and then put his foot on the rope for leverage. I thought that was a really nice touch. Made this otherwise like sort of goofy thing feel like it was a little more realistic, and I really enjoyed that.
I liked it because Omega had said, "What are you gonna do, John? You gonna chain wrestle me?" And he literally chain wrestled him. So, dude, this match was it was everything I wanted. Like this was a love letter. I felt like to those of us in my situation that wanted this. I was so happy. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. Um, it was so for me, the people online that were upset about it, and things like that, saying AEW is better than this, this is gross, this is brutal, yada yada yada, etc. Well, here's the thing, and this is my opinion, my take on it. Show me where they said this was going to be a wrestling match. This wasn't ever going to be a wrestling match. This was two people
Nope.
that wanted to get after each other. This was two people that wanted to inflict damage on each other. Now, Moxley had said that he wanted a wrestling match. He wanted to beat Kenny so that it counted, but they wouldn't let him. So he said, literally, his blood is on your hands. Basically, this is exactly what they built towards. If you didn't
Yeah.
see this coming, then I really don't understand what you were thinking
You
to get
haven't
out of
been
the story.
watching the weekly TV show. They literally showed you the bat and the broom. They talk. You made a good point. You know, he literally said his blood is on your hands. Moxley straight up said, "Hey, then I'm basically gonna kill Kenny Omega."
Yeah,
Um,
this wasn't going to be a technical wrestling match. Here's
but
the
no,
reason. Here's the reason that I love this in general. And I was actually talking to somebody that doesn't even watch wrestling the other day, and able to illustrate just from a storyline perspective why this is so cool and why I'm so excited. So we get first of all, I love the match. I don't even have to talk about it because, like I said, just I love the brutalness of it, the everything, the barbed wire net. Uh, here's the main takeaway. Moxley had said he didn't want this. He wanted a legitimate wrestling match. This allows you to push his character forward with, all right, got that out of the way. Y'all tried to box me in. I became y'all's sadistic little monkey like you want me to be, like everybody else has always wanted me to be, just a hardcore wrestler. Now it's time to get down to business. Now you get to step away from, you don't have to just book him into corner with these hardcore matches.
yeah,
You get to let him say, I did what you wanted me to do. I did the unsanctioned thing. Now give me some real fucking wrestling matches so I can have a belt.
yep,
And that kind of progression is, I mean, that's the key to having somebody watch a storyline driven program.
dude, I fully agree. Every last bit of this was telling a story that this is Moxley's goodbye and Kenny's foray into something he's never really done before. That's all this was. This is 100% a one-off thing. Do I think either of them will do these kind of matches in the future? Sure, but it's not going to
Yeah.
be anytime soon. Probably won't be with each other. Um, I don't know, dude. They left it all out there, and again, it was for a point. So the people who are saying like, "Oh, this is too much," like they literally were not paying attention. There was never any false conceptions of what this match was going to be. It was 100% a nod back to CZW for Moxley, and again, just Kenny
And
showing that he can do more than just put on these like perfect wrestling bouts. Kenny can be a hardcore wrestler if he needs to be.
the match had a lot in common with like Japanese deathmatch type of
Yep.
matches. I mean,
The
which
only thing
I'm
we were
sure
missing for that the barbed wire mesh, whatever the fuck that was like glass tubes all around the top
light
of it.
tubes. We
Yeah.
were missing we missed light tubes. That's the thing too is the barbed wire. Okay, I mean, Chase, you've seen barbed wire in real life as I have. If this
Yeah.
was like barbed wire, they'd have to stop the match immediately. So we
Yeah.
know that this is some sort of uh, gimmicked barbed wire or whatever it is, it still cuts you. It still hurts, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot fewer barbs is all it is. Like
yeah,
it's still
and
jabbing into you. You're just not gonna fucking get murdered by it.
the broken glass, we know that that's gimmicked glass. I mean, it turned to absolute dust. It turned to powder,
Yeah.
which normal that size of glass won't do with just stepping on.
Oh no, dude,
It'll it,
it would have fucking dug like it would have carved them open. Like
yeah.
literally would have cut pieces of flesh off.
So
Um,
that's the thing too, is that they should get some credit for is they made this match look so fucking brutal. But guess what? It was a very safe way to do this. And like it's crazy to say that,
yeah.
but they took so much fucking precaution and everything, and they are such professionals that they knew exactly what to do. They were able to almost pull off, this very, very disgusting, brutal looking match with doing some minimal damage. I mean, yeah, their backs are marked up and stuff, but aside from that, they're still pretty good.
Yeah. Not only that, dude, but the piece of glass that Kenny held in his hand. One, Kenny didn't. There was no wrapping on the glass, and there was no wrapping on his hand. Kenny would have cut his own fucking hand open holding that
Yeah.
piece of glass, and that piece of glass would have cut open literally anything that he touched. Uh, Literally any part of Moxley's body that he touched it to would have
Yep.
fucking absolutely cut his hand wide the fuck open when
Yeah.
he did the thing. So again, I agree with you in every aspect of it. The match was incredible, and people just got squeamish for whatever fucking reason. But like you said, I think that sells on the fact that they did such a good job of making this match look brutal when in reality they were as safe as they could have been. The only like part that I was ever grossed out by, and I don't know if you caught this, but when they did the suplex onto the barbed wire mesh, is what we're gonna call it. Um, when they pulled either Kenny or Moxley up, I can't remember which one it was. Um, you heard a pop where a piece of an actual barb from the barbed wire, popped out of their skin. There was a physical pop to it, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah.
Like literally, like cringed. Even talking about it now, dude, like I just felt my skin crawl.
They got
Because your
that
skin's not
that
supposed to do that.
the most brutal part for me that was really unexpected was the amount of color that came from so Mox goes for the tope suicida and Kenny smacks him in the fucking head with the broom and we get immediate blood, like
Yeah,
immediate. He caught him, just the momentum of the dive he was taking and the way he caught him in the back of the neck, dude, that opened him up and I was just like, oh, like that really got me. But I loved it. I loved it,
it was
and
great, dude.
I didn't take the time to uh, enter into any Twitter discussions about it because I was under the assumption that if you thought that this was brutal, disgusting, tacky AEW stooping to a new low, you missed the point. I'm not gonna waste my time on that argument.
Agreed. Yeah, I tweeted out about Pro Wrestling Illustrated was one of the main perpetrators of like this is disgusting. They shouldn't have done this. Um, but the only reason I tweeted anything out about it is because the response they kept getting from a lot of wrestling fans was "Okay, Boomer," and it made me laugh. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are
they did.
very old wrestling, and they're very stuck in their ways. This is the same people that said Seth Rollins was number one out of 100.
Yep.
Um, and
Ronda Rousey as well, right? Didn't
yeah,
they?
Ronda Rousey was over Asuka and all these other like fucking insane shit, dude. So people were like, "Wow, I don't fucking take you seriously anyway." But this is a new low.
Yeah,
Um, One thing that did happen on Twitter that made this match even better for me: Renee Young live tweeting this match.
dude, that was
Her
good.
first tweet was just "Hi, hello, hey, I hate this," and then the rest of it was just "Oh my god." Oh my fucking, or OMFG, and then just like she would retweet herself and say, "This is still crazy. I'm still not having a good time." You could tell she absolutely did not want to watch her husband do this kind of match, but this is the kind of match that he got big for. This is how he got to the WWE. This is how they met. Is
Yeah,
because he was willing to do these kind of matches elsewhere first. But she like he never did anything like this in WWE. WWE wouldn't allow for something like this. Um,
dude, that perfect point. One last thing to bring up is They wouldn't allow it to the how many times in WWE I guess what I'm saying is, how many times in WWE did you see a barbed wire bat that Dean Ambrose got to pick up and cradle and caress and look at? The match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, where he brings out the barbed wire bat, that I think Foley gave him, or Cactus Jack.
It was on the bat, right? It was a 2x4, or was it actually a
Uh,
bat?
it was well, that's a good point,
I
because
want to
it
say it
may
was
have
a
been
two
a
by
two.
four that has a stupid like ring at the bottom of it.
Yeah, but
Um,
regardless, we've seen that weapon introduced, but guess what? That's not a kendo stick. You gotta go back to the kendo stick. You miss once with the bat. I
yeah,
felt like maybe I was reading too much into it, but I got that from the first time that Mox used the bat. I got that because they make the miss, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh, here we go, and then nope, then immediately get smacked in the back with it.
yeah. Nailed
So
him,
I
dude.
thought that was super super refreshing. Renee's tweets were gold.
They were
He-
great, but at the same time, it's like she probably really feels this way. Um, which like I get it. Like I wouldn't want to see my significant other getting fucked up like that.
Yeah.
But that's literally his job. Like that's what he signed up for. Um, but overall, dude, I thought Full Gear was a good pay per view. I've seen some people say that it's their best pay per view so far.
Hmm.
I think if we didn't have the mic issues and didn't have the JR issues, I would probably agree. But his delivery, especially JR, killed the first half of this pay per view. Um, Made it very rough to watch. Um, so that's our like positive and negatives for the week, Ethan. What about like where do you want to see things go from here? For both AEW and WWE.
So WWE has a lot to figure out. It's going to be interesting. Clearly, right now, the hottest thing they've got is the Fiend. So let's see where that goes. Let's see how you progress this, and maybe this is super, super, super long term, I guess, for them. But what's his weakness? Do you have to beat Bray Wyatt? Do you have to somehow take him out of the Fiend's grasp and actually beat the man that is Bray Wyatt in order to get the belt off of the Fiend? I want to see where that goes. I need somebody to step up in the wake of this Seth Rollins shit, dude. I
I
don't
mean
know what's
Daniel
going on with
Daniel
it.
Bryan right now is the first guy. I think that's a good like starting feud. We're gonna pretend like none of the other shit ever happened and just go
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan versus the Fiend.
and then AEW, man, that's easy for me. It's I get to sit back now and watch what is going to be one of the best feuds in a really long time. This MJF Cody feud, there's no way that it can fail. It can't. The way that it's been built up, the way that they've nailed everything they've done so far.
Yeah.
Um, this is going to be incredible, and this is going to be MJF's biggest match that he's ever had. It's going to be he's already over with people like us that know what he's capable of. This is gonna get him that mainstream recognition, and it's just gonna be incredible, man.
Yeah. And he's
And
definitely gonna
aside
go far, man.
aside from that, I'm interested to see. I know there was some rumors about Cody was mentioning at Starcast this next big prize that's coming up. So there's some rumors. He said he doesn't like the name a mid card belt. He doesn't really like that title because when he was intercontinental champion and everything, and when they had the big classic intercontinental title matches, that it didn't feel mid card, kind of the same thing that the Miz
Yeah.
has said. So I'm on the lookout for that, because if you bring a mid card, if we do want to keep calling it that, belt into AEW, that opens up a whole new segment of
Yeah. And
matches for
MJF
people.
is perfect for that spot right now. Who do you think is going to go after the world title next? Is it going to be Pac or is it going to be Page?
I think it's got to be Pac. I feel like there's another story to tell with Paige, and I don't think that it's there yet for the title picture. I think they're going a different direction. I think honestly, I don't I don't know why I think this necessarily aside from just BTE, but I think Paige and Kenny might be about to have a program of some sort. Maybe it's a Kenny unhinged. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But I think Pac to answer that question. I think that you get Pac versus Jericho, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I think they're going the same way. I don't think they want to give Pac 2 losses in a row. I think that's the whole reason they're doing the rubber match now is so that Pac can get his win back and then move forward. Because Pac has had a legitimate claim for the title uh, for a while now, and I think when he beats Page, he's gonna bring it up, and that's gonna start that feud. And I think that we are gonna see something very fucking special with Pac going after the inner circle, um, because he does not fuck around. He also doesn't wait for the challenge to come to him. He's gonna go after them, and if they start trying to interfere in his matches, he's just gonna fuck them all up. We are gonna see a very aggressive Pac, almost like I think about. Do you remember back when Steve Austin was like he did the episode where he was like hunting DX? You know what I'm talking about? He like caught some of them in nets. He caught Road Dogg in a bear trap.
Yeah, yeah,
Things
yeah.
like almost like that, minus all like the props. I think
Mhm.
he's gonna start singling them out one at a time and taking them out. I think we are going to see a very new and even more aggressive, if that's even possible, side of Pac, and I'm super excited for that. Um, but yeah, any final thoughts, man?
There's a lot of wrestling in the world, man.
There sure is. There sure is.
It's I
Um,
think it's I think it's a great time to be a wrestling fan, regardless of how many issues we have with WWE. Um, you've got more options than ever, and I think that, like I said, my hope is that when they get things right, it's gonna be glorious.
well, at least it'll be hard to fuck up the Rumble. They'll probably just give it to Seth Rollins again, but I mean, at least the Rumble match itself will be fun to watch.
True.
Uh, but anyway, guys, I think that's going to be it for this week. We are going to be streaming live every Monday from now on. So make sure you hit that follow. And make sure to follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are below our pictures right now. And then you can follow us on Twitter at Smark Week as well. We live tweet like all of our pay per views and a lot of weekly events as well. Make sure to come hang out with us next week. But anyway, for Smark Week, I'm Chase.
Ethan.
We'll see you next time.